Woj, here we go. Under 24 hours now from the verbal agreements being able to be made here. And we've heard a lot of teams rumored, of course, about LeBron James. Narrow the market for us. Who's out right now on LeBron?
Well, once LeBron decided not to opt into his contract earlier today, it makes it really difficult for Houston. Houston would have needed a sign-and-trade agreement like they did with Chris Paul last year with the Clippers to get him. They don't have salary cap space. They would have to literally gut their roster, move lots of contracts out. It's not realistic, and they're focused on their own free agents now. Chris Paul, Clint Capella. By him not opting into that contract, the Lakers, Philadelphia, Cleveland, all teams who have the salary cap space to sign him, it keeps them in play.
Woj, what do we know about LeBron and the Cavs at this point right now?
There's really been, between LeBron and the front office and ownership, really no communication. Now, his agent talks with them, and that's a cordial relationship. But they would have liked to have been able to game plan with him, free agency, around the draft. As they tried to get creative in ways to improve their roster, they would have liked input from him. But he was very clear with them coming out of the postseason and into this summer, into summer, that he was not going to do that. He was not going to give them direction. He hasn't done that. And the word that I've heard around that Cavaliers front office organization is paralysis. They're in a position where it's really difficult for them to make any decisions with LeBron in mind. They've got to focus. They've got to go forward here as if he's going to leave, because he's they can't count on any kind of a commitment.
But do we read anything into the fact that he hasn't wanted to be involved in these discussions? Do we read anything into that?
Listen, you certainly can. Like last year at this time, he had a chance to commit for a couple more years to get a Paul George trade done. He could have had Paul George, Kyrie Irving, and himself on the team this year. He didn't do it almost a year ago to today when they didn't do that trade. I think it was a signal then about his hesitancy about going forward with the Cavs. But they're not out of this yet. He hasn't ruled them out. They're still a consideration. All
right, Woj, sit tight. We're going to get your thoughts on some other big stars who could be on the move. But first, Linda, here's LeBron jumping off a cliff.
That's right. While we wait for LeBron to make up his mind, he doesn't seem too stressed now, does he? Vacationing in the Caribbean, jumping into free agency as he's jumping off that cliff. His associates and friends are there as well to assist him in what they're calling the decision cave. Brian Windhorst joins us now. Before we dive in, Wendy, was there really a need to brand LeBron decision-making process, as the decision cave?
Linda, I guess I just can't, in this day and age, I can't make a passing joke or anything in those world. They jokingly referred to their little, get together before deciding on Cleveland in 2014 as the decision cave. They certainly aren't branding it that way. I just made a passing reference to it. And in the ravenous situation we're in, where every single little piece of LeBron information becomes a major thing, it all of a sudden became a major thing today. This is not any different than what they did in 2014. Linda, LeBron has a very small group of people. We're talking 2 or 3 people that he is going to get together with. It'll be on a couch somewhere. I don't know what island it'll be on. It'll be on the mainland or what city it'll be in. But his wife, Savannah, will play a major role, probably the biggest role she's played so far, because the family is older now. And it's not going to be in a cave. Some people took it literally. It's just going to be a little get-together, okay? They joked about it being the decision cave. Don't worry about caves anymore. I guess we can't have nice things in today's day and age.
Everybody has an opinion, so maybe
I'm glad you're laughing, Linda, because it hasn't been laughing for me, trust me.
I'm sorry, Brian, but I think it's fabulous and funny, and you know what? It keeps LeBron James in the news. Like he needs the cave to be in the news. Okay, so we know what LeBron's thinking. We know he has a small amount of people around him helping him to assist him in, making sure everything is copacetic. So what are the Cavaliers thinking right now?
Yeah, so the Cavs have had to have an alternate plan. As Woj just said, they have not gotten any guidance from LeBron. So they've had to develop an alternate plan because they have to act if LeBron commits elsewhere. And right now, Linda, the Los Angeles Lakers have the inside track. They're going to have a great opportunity to woo LeBron James. The key is going to be the pitch that they make him over the next 48 to 72 hours. They're going to have to be able to sell him on what their vision is to build a team around him. If they execute that, the Cavs are going to have to take a second track, and that may involve making a decision about Kevin Love. Now, they have told Kevin Love and his agent that they do not intend to trade him, even if LeBron James goes elsewhere, like to Los Angeles. But the big question will be, will they get offers for Kevin Love if LeBron leaves? And if they do get offers, will they significantly try to change this roster? It's an unfortunate position for them to be in. They face having LeBron and competing for a championship, or going another direction and maybe beginning a rebuild. And they may have to make that fork in the road decision within the next few days.
Just an incredible rippling effect this decision by LeBron James will have, not only on the Cavaliers, of course, but for the rest of the NBA. Now, thank you, Wendy. Let's send it back to Kevin and Woj.
Yeah, and Linda, obviously the spotlight shining brightest on LeBron, but Woj, there are still some other major names on the market, and it would appear as if Lob City has been fully deflated now after DeAndre Jordan declined his player option. You say it's over with the Clippers, so what's next for him?
Well, they tried to do a sign and trade between the Clippers, Mavs, couldn't come to an agreement. So he opts out, and he's very clearly headed to Dallas after July 1. They technically cannot negotiate or talk about a deal, but Dallas has created the cap space. They need a center. DeAndre Jordan needed a team with the space to sign him to a big-time, long-term deal. And so he'll very likely head to the Mavericks.
He's a fascinating guy because he's going to make big money, but in many ways you can't have him on the floor at the end of the game. It'll be curious to see exactly where he goes and what he gets. Hey, speaking of bigs, Woj, how about a 25-13 guy who's still only 27 years old, Boogie Cousins? Who's in the mix there?
Well, clearly there would be some disappointment in his camp tonight that DeAndre Jordan appears headed to Dallas. They had hoped that would have been a team that they could have used to negotiate with against New Orleans. Coming off that Achilles injury, that's really difficult for anybody to negotiate in an open market. Very likely back to the Pelicans on what might be a 2-year deal. He's going to have to show he's healthy again, get back to a high level. Cousins was a player who was on his way to a 5-year full max contract, having the best season of his career before the injury. But if he gets back healthy again, he will be back out on the market, in short order, and he'll be able to go get that big long-term payday. Right,
when the cap has maybe even gone up at that point here. Woj, feels like there's been radio silence as it relates to Chris Paul, who is in line for a gigantic payday. I mean, is Houston, is that a given at this point?
Yeah, he'll very likely he'll be back with the Rockets. They're on the same page. When they traded for him with the Clippers last year, they knew the kind of long-term commitment it was going to take, and they had the kind of season that makes you want to keep building off of that. Up 3-2 against the Warriors in the conference finals before Paul's injury. Both sides are focused on getting something done as we get into free agency tomorrow.